So, hello, and welcome to an episode of the Loose Cannon Show. Another episode of the Loose Cannon Show. It feels like forever since we've been back because it kind of has been.
A
It's just
little
one thing
bit.
after another trying to have this show good. You know, as I was getting ready and everything, I was moving my mic over and I was like, oh, let me adjust it a little bit, put it a little lower so it's like a little better to where I'm sitting. And you can kind of notice if you're watching a video, there's this little lock turn bit wing nut here, right here, and that is the only thing keeping the mic angled like this and not being yanked down by gravity. And when I adjusted my mic, it went and I had my headphones in, and all the sound that were previously coming into my headphones cut out, and I was like, did I just break my mic a minute before the show started? It's like again another thing happened that we have to be like, I'm sorry. I know we just said we were gonna have a show, but we can't have a show this week because another thing happened.
Stop touching it.
Yeah, it has been a month. this this past month. Off to a great start on this year. How have your weeks been right now?
Pretty good. Been a little busy. Been busy at work mostly, so I haven't had a ton of time to play Destiny, but
Mm,
I get to absorb the lore on my downtime in between, so it's kind of nice. I've been able to catch up a little bit on the reading.
that's good. I always take the end of the season off.
Yeah.
I don't know,
So you pretty much get everything done, and then about the last week or so, you're just not really in it.
I mean, like the last month.
Oh wow.
Because I feel like that keeps the game healthy and fresh for me. I go hard on those first 2 months. I'm like in it every day after
Yeah.
work for hours, doing everything, and then it's like that last month. I'm just like, all right, let's check out some other games. Like I've been playing Spider-Man. I played Bug Snacks, Spider-Man Miles Morales. Played a little bit of God of War. Just and then when next season comes in 3 days, I'm so excited for it. I'm like, oh my god, this is a new game to me again. It's a whole new experience, and it's so fun to experience it fresh like that. So I
Yeah,
really
I see
suggest
that.
everyone do that. Everyone just
Yeah.
take 2 weeks, 3 weeks at the end of the season, just get everything done that you wanted to get done, and then just relax.
Yeah.
Find something else that you can occupy your time with.
See, I don't have time to play as much,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm the filthy casual that everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to get most of the challenges done. So when I play, it's spread out the entire season.
Yeah. And see that's the other way that you could do it. You could spread it out so you're never really over exposing yourself to Destiny because you play it
Yeah,
more
yeah. Oh, and
sparingly.
it's still frustrating. But the
Yeah.
bad, like I've said this before, so the bad thing about that is for casuals versus
Hmm.
diehards, the pro and con. So the pro for diehards is they get all the content done, and they get up to a light level that's really nice and big, and they're strong, and they get to just curb stomp all the enemies in the game, and it's a lot of fun because you've got the cool gear you've got and everything. But the con to that for the diehard is you run out of content,
Yeah.
and so now it's just like crickets until the next season, and you're just frustrated because you don't want to do anything. You're just like,
Hmm.
well, what's the point? But for casuals, it's like always playing on hard mode.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
you don't get your light level raised. Anytime you go to do anything, you're getting one shot by the enemies mostly, and even in Crucible, you're grinding, or you're trying to get some weapons that'll actually bring up your light level. And
Hmm.
Destiny's really just ruthless with some of these light level numbers. Like they'll give you an increment of one,
Hmm.
light increase, and so you run out of materials because when you're a casual, you don't have just this endless supply of the resources you need to up your
Mm-hmm.
gear. And so, all those little items are precious to you. So when you want to raise your helmet light level up 1 point, it's not worth it to you. You'd rather
Yeah.
just wait until something drops at like at least 5 higher, which never
Yeah.
happens. Or it happens once a week
I guess
for
I
a
would
casual.
I guess I would actually fall more on the medium core spectrum, like if it's soft core, medium core, hardcore, because I am absolutely currency poor. Like I'm like every day I'm like, oh crap, I need to figure out a way to afford these items, and I'm running out of
Uh-huh.
these, and it's like it's very tight. So like I don't masterwork anything. I'm just hoarding it all because I'm like one
Mm-hmm.
day I'll get like an 80 stat armor piece. And I'm like, this is the only armor piece I'll ever need for the rest of the year. So I'll
Yeah.
have it. I'll have it ready for that point, but I've never gotten that point.
Yeah, and so that's the other dynamic that you have to be that's a little annoying is for both. I mean, we're all in the same boat. So hardcores and casuals are kind of in the
Mm,
same boat. So I get what you're saying because if you're spending all the resources, you don't have them, and if you're not spending them, you're not getting them, and you don't have them. So I guess you never really have them.
yeah.
So the other dynamic is that as soon as you've masterworked your gear and you've saved up a billion whatever you need material to infuse into that one arm piece or helmet or whatever, and you've got them all masterworked, you've got all your stats where you want them to be. You
Hmm.
found one specific armor that you're going to stick with. Um, it changes. So the next season they just make it all obsolete, or they've changed it in a way to where they've added one more perk to the same armor you already
Hmm.
have, and now you got to chase it all over again, or you
Yeah.
just have to be like, forget it, I'm sticking with it, and I'm going to suffer the whole season.
Well, hopefully next season with some of the changes they've made, it becomes more friendly, casual friendly. Because I do think that's important. Destiny 2
Yeah,
launched in a super casual focused way, and that did hurt the game for a number of the players. Obviously, it made it more accessible for new players, which is important. And I think maybe the pendulum can kind of swing back into the middle. I hope that it will next season, where it's much easier for people who are casual to climb the levels, with the challenges,
yeah,
with the experience. Like hopefully like you'll like I never go past 100 on the season pass. I might like get like 115, but like usually I by the point that I'm about done with the season, I'm at 100, a little bit past. So hopefully with these new challenges, it makes it a lot easier for someone like me who can just like focus hard on them, like right at the start to hit 100 faster and then go beyond 100, and then other people to actually easily hit 100 without having to stress it.
right, yeah, absolutely.
And
And I
then, all the
and
levels that come with it.
I'm not saying that everybody should subscribe to FOMO and try to get whatever item is there. Even in Eververse, like you
Hmm.
see, I don't have enough bright dust, so I've got to go, dismantle a ton of stuff because I want that one emote, or whatever. So I'm not really saying that people should just try to get whatever the carrot is at each
Hmm.
season. It's not. I don't think it's absolutely 100% necessary to do that. But what I am saying is, like, the core game should at least be vastly accessible to anyone trying to play Destiny at any given point for the first time. And right now, if somebody was to say, "Hey, I'm going to start Destiny," I'd be like, "Good luck." Call me when you're frustrated and you need some help, because man, and then they're calling you the next day. But
Yeah, it's,
there's some things that are just ridiculously complicated, and then there's a lot of things that are super simple. So
hmm
what I wish Destiny would have created years ago when they were going towards this path, because it didn't start this way in D1.
hmm
What I wish they would have done is somewhere along the lines, they should have branched off a fork with a parallel path for hardcores and then casuals. And then I'm not saying casuals get awarded what the hardcores are getting. However, I'm just saying there should be a linear path that allows casuals to obtain certain pieces of armor, weapons, and those be at the base level with enough of an advantage to be at a level playing field with hardcores. So now you start as a new character, you get a base set of weapons, a base set of armor, and all of those things are comparable with some of the top gear, right? And they're attainable from places that are easy to get them from. So like you need to go get an auto rifle that can hold up against the best auto rifle in Crucible, where you can go obtain one from the Vanguard. It's not 100% the best weapon in the game, but at least it's 90% comparable to the best one that's in the game. So when you go into Crucible, you're not getting your butt handed to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever the weapon is, whatever the armor is, it should be, it should be something for those people. So that way they're not playing on hard mode the whole dang time.
Yeah. Well,
or do it like what Outriders is about to do, and you can get two different paths to play. You can either play it on easy mode and then play it on hard mode. But you can only play it on hard mode after you beat. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Huh. That's interesting. I am excited for Outriders, but I'm completely blind to Outriders as well. Like, I know the barest minimum of things about it. So,
yeah,
I'm looking forward to.
I've been watching a lot of videos on it. It's pretty interesting. So we'll see how it goes. Of course, everybody hypes up a game before it comes out and then just obliterates it when it does.
Yeah. But how about we get to this week's item?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm good.
Let's do that.
I'm gonna put it on the screen. And so there's actually something I noticed about it before you start diving into it. I had it up here on my other screen, and I was just kind of looking at it. Oh, can I? Oh, that doesn't zoom in at all. I noticed these little fins here on the back of the ship. Those are actually the sights on a Hawkmoon. Like, those are identical to the sights. That's a very slight detail. Like, obviously, it has the feathers that Hawkmoon has, but I was just looking at it, and I was like, oh shit, those are the sights.
Yeah, they totally are. You still can't rotate ships, man.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see though.
It makes me so frustrated in game because you can rotate a Sparrow and shoot the thruster, but you can't do it to a ship. And I'm all about staring at these emblems on these, And if you don't have it, well, you just gotta wait for somebody that has it to go look at it in the shipyard or whatever. I'm the guy that goes down into the shipyard and pushes that button over and over just to see my ship from underneath.
Oh, really?
And then I keep equipping a new ship just so I can see the ship underneath.
Yeah, it is kind of silly that they show you the ship at this angle, like when you're gonna see, like when it's actually flying in. It's not like they don't have the model of the reverse of the ship. It's a 3D model. Why can't we rotate it? And that goes for everything.
Right. Like even your gun, you can't rotate those.
Yeah.
Like I want to know what's on the other side.
There's got to be like some weird code preventing it. Like from us as a non-developer, we're like, this is the easiest thing to do. Literally just make it rotate. And they're just like, you don't understand like how complicated that is.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I go onto Gear Viewer and just look at it there and try to get some.
They have it there.
Because you can rotate it. The Lowlines has done a fantastic job porting all the 3D models on his Gear Viewer 2.0 if you haven't seen it. But you can go online and look at that. Cool. And you can look at any weapon, whatever, armor piece. You can look at them and rotate them around and zoom in and take pictures and even download it if you want to. So I like doing that. It's not 100% accurate to in-game, but most of the stuff is there, so you can see it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. It's very handy tool. Yeah, so the Hawkmoon ship. So this one was kind of crazy because the lore is talking about the speaker. Right? Am I correct with that one?
I read it when I first saw it, and if I remember correctly, it was specifically talking about how there would never be another speaker.
Right. But
which is kind of funny because everyone's been saying, fine. Remember, like, what was it, like a year ago? I was saying Crow was going to be the speaker when we were in Season of Dawn, and now here's Crow getting these quests with the Traveler, and everyone's like, wait, what if Crow's going to be the speaker? And I'm like, I'm already past that. We're on Amika 10 now.
Yeah, we're working on something else now, guys.
Keep up. Casuals.
Go back and listen to our previous episodes a year ago.
What was that, Punk? Casuals.
All right, so um, this one is called the Radiant Accipiter. Radiant meaning sending out light. Traveler, right?
Uh-huh.
Accipiter is a deadly hawk distinguished by short, broad wings and relatively long legs, adapted for fast flight in the woods. A genus of birds of prey. So that's kind of interesting in and of itself because where was the hawk moon found?
In the EDC woods, I'm guessing you're going with that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So there you go. Huh. But I don't know that that necessarily means anything as for hawk moon, because I mean, a hawk can live pretty much anywhere. There's tons of different hawks,
Mm-hmm.
right? So some people
Well,
have been coming at me like, okay, well, that means that hawk moon is a hawk from the woods. And I'm
yeah, I
like, I don't
mean,
know. I mean,
we do
sure.
actually follow a hawk to the hawk moon, that like hawk of light that
Yeah.
guides you. I was actually just doing that mission the other day to get the title, and it dawned on me just how much this game loves birds. Because now we got the pigeon, the phoenix, the crow, and then there's also this hawk. And I guess Lewis, is Lewis a hawk or a falcon?
He's I never thought
Is there a
about
difference
that.
between a hawk and a falcon, or are those the same
No,
things like
he's
a
in the game.
puma
Wait,
and a mountain
in the
lion?
game somewhere it tells us what he is.
I
I
think he's
just
a
don't know what it
falcon.
is. Maybe. But there is a
Anyway,
difference.
Destiny loves birds.
So accipiters are a genus of birds that they're in the they're in the family of Accipitae, Accipitae. Uh, but there are over 51 recognized species, and in its most diverse genus is this family. So most species are called, in this particular family, the accipiter family of birds. Most species are called ghost, or I always say it wrong, goshawks or
Oh,
sparrowhawks.
and
What do you say?
sparrows.
Yeah, sparrowhawks. Although most all New World species are simply known as hawks. So,
Uh-huh.
I mean, over the years, we just kind of called them all hawks, right? But in Europe, this gets really irritating to them because they have like over here, like I've said before, over here in the U.S., we bastardize a lot of the language. So we just look up in the sky when the settlers were here and they see something flying and they think it's a hawk, so they just call it a hawk. Like the turkey vulture. They thought that was a hawk when they first saw it for years until they finally realized, holy crap, that's a totally different bird. Anyway, um, 47 species of accipiters have been identified worldwide, with 3 species of accipiters in North America. So the
Hmm.
smallest is the sharp-shinned hawk. It's kind of a small bird about the size of a robin. A medium-sized accipiter hawk is called the Cooper's hawk. It's the size of a crow,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was funny. And then the largest is the northern uh, goshawk. I'm going to get flamed for this. And it has a 4-foot wingspan.
I think that's what we
Accipiter,
have where I live.
do you?
I think
I have
so.
a ton of the Cooper's hawks around here,
Yeah,
if
because
I'm
I
not mistaken.
I don't really know birds. I have not practiced bird law in many years. But it might be the big one.
Huh. Well, it's funny you say this because my house is like a magnet for certain birds, and they all come out here at different times of the year. So, like right now, I have tons of these red robins, these red-breasted robins, and
Mm-hmm.
they love to just line up like soldiers in my half-acre part of my lot. And
Mm-hmm.
they'll just sit there in the afternoon, like every day, like clockwork. They'll all be there around 3 o'clock, just chilling out. And I guess that there's something they would like to eat, but there's tons of them. And then like 3 months ago, it was all of these grackle type birds, that we get here in Texas. They look like crows, but they're small.
Mm-hmm.
And then before that are tons of these. I forget the name of them, but they're like a family of the starling, and they come in like swarms, and it's really cool. I've got a video somewhere. I'll share it one day. But they come in swarms, and they look like schools of fish flying in the sky, and
That's
they make
crazy.
these huge patterns of just like blackness. Just it's really cool. I've got a video of one, and where I came home one day and I was like, "Holy crap! This is the end of the world."
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's exactly how I would feel if I saw swarms of birds. I'm like, it's
but
happening.
it
They're
happens
they're
every
killing
single year,
us.
and it was about 2 months ago, and
Hmm.
every year it's like in December-ish. They all come around here and they just do that little dance in the sky for like a week straight. You'll see them every day. It's crazy.
That is
And
crazy.
then they'll sit down on they'll all just park it on people's houses, and you'll look at the top of someone's roof and it'll be completely black with like 1,000 birds. Anyway, they're not really annoying. They're kind of cool looking, so
Hmm.
that's a good thing. But anyway, accipiters. So, um, their accipiters are classified as true hawk, characterized by long tails and rounded wings, which have evolved for catching prey in forested areas. So they're built for fast acceleration, quick turns, and they can stop quickly. Their short round wings allow for fast acceleration and aid in dodging and going in between trees and branches. The long tails add in braking and are for making hairpin turns. Accipiters are adapted for hunting and nestling in forested areas. However, they can be found nesting in open country or even isolated trees. They're often seen hunting in open areas several miles away from their nests during the breeding season, and they routinely hunt as they migrate. Sharpies, or coops, and goshawks are the most commonly witnessed in migration. North American accipiters prey on various birds and animals. Sharp-shinned hawks prey on small birds, and Cooper's hawks prey on small mammals, lizards, and medium-sized birds. So the Cooper's hawks are, they'll get like rats and stuff and
That's crazy.
squirrels. So they're pretty. I guess those are the ones that are the most. I guess out of all the three, those are the ones that are the most like what's the word? Predatory.
Mm.
It even said I. You can go into all of this if you're a birder or you want to get into this stuff. But man, there's a ton of stuff about these particular birds, but I just kind of got the minimum.
Hmm.
Um, so all accipiters are forest-dwelling hawks that hunt by close-quarter ambush and dash and catch strategy. So they kind of strike, when the victim is not really aware, which is
Mm.
neat. But so here was something cool, and this kind of goes into the ship. So Destiny's really good with this stuff, man. If they're going to name something, they're going to make sure it looks like what they're talking about. The adult hawks, the adult accipiters, the plumage combines a gray brown to a radiant blue gray upper part with brick red and silver gray underfeathers. But when seen from above, like when seen from below, they just look like this ship, which is hilarious.
Huh.
So when you look at the ship, it's like a very silver hawk looking.
And remember IS Luna back in D1?
Yes, it was red.
That was a brick red.
Yes, and that was the Hawk Moon, baby Hawk Moon,
Yeah.
the IS Luna, which IS is a little bird hawk,
That's interesting. Bungie really
isn't
likes to
it?
go deep on this.
They do, man, and that's great because like I think a lot of them, a lot of the writers and people that are naming stuff at the game, I mean, they all want to be polymaths. They want to know as much information as they
Hmm.
can. I mean, they have a vast knowledge, like just to have half of what they know and have learned over the years would be just great to add to my knowledge.
Mm.
I wish I had that kind of information in my brain.
Yeah, it'd be really cool to like just get to go there and just like sit down with them and be like, so what's your inspiration for like this? Like how do you dive into this? And like just a bunch of them, because like we
Yeah,
were lucky enough to have John Goff come on and we got to ask like questions like that, and hopefully we
yeah,
can get other people in the future. That'd be super
yeah,
cool.
yeah. We should totally do that.
Yeah.
Because I know some of the artists or some of the writers, I call
Hmm.
them all artists because they're all artists, but Some of them are just it's neat what they're fascinated by. So some of them
Yeah.
are like for real, birders, or they love ornithology. They're
Mhm.
like full on all about animals, creatures, genus. The breaking down the species, where they
Mhm.
branch, and stuff like that. And some of them are just true sci-fi fanatics. That
Yeah.
work there, and they know everything about
It
all past
shows.
sci-fi.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
really shows. Yeah, hopefully soon we'll have another The Lore That Made Us episode.
yeah.
All right. Uh so should we talk about the next coming season? Season of the Chosen? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, you want to do that now
Yeah.
first? Okay.
So we just got a trailer and that's what I was typing. Can you imagine if we we just got the Bungie thing on first search? Like
What?
when I didn't have this prepared. I kind of dropped the ball on that because we decided to do this at the last minute. But just I search it and it's like here's some random re-upload. Like why can't you just give me the official trailer first, man? So we're gonna put that on screen
Okay.
and we'll sit through this. And so, right off the bat, you can see the Cosmodrome. We have Cabal ships. We have a ship on the left that kind of looks like a Leviathan, showing Keitel and her Centurions behind her. Keitel has tusks. Very exciting. Female Cabal are supposed to have tusks, and we've seen female Cabal in game apparently. I was unaware of this, but we've seen them in game. And they don't actually have tusks in game. So for Keitel to come out and be like tusks and all, it is kind of new and exciting.
So, have we gotten any kind of explanation for that, or no?
Just the fact that it exists. And that all started with Destiny 2, where
When we learned about
the book
Red
showed Keitel and Mirath with tusks. And everyone's like, whoa, what the hell? Like, why do they have tusks?
So I guess in speculation, you would have to say that tusks either are docked for war, or maybe have something to do with freedom, or maybe have something to do with just superiority, like rank.
Well, so that's
Rank
what
and
people
file.
believed. They thought it would be. People in the Ishtar Discord actually suggested that a high-ranking royalty female Cabal is allowed to keep her tusks, whereas the ones that are in the wars do not get to keep their tusks. But in this trailer, we see like right now they're fighting Red Legion on the Cosmodrome. But I think it's actually just after the scene. You can see that these are Keitel's Cabal. Keitel's Cabal are blue armored instead of red armored, and there is a scene. I'm not seeing it pop up, but there is a scene where we see a Centurion in the background, blue armored Keitel Cabal Legion, that has its tusks, and it's not
really?
Keitel. So it
Oh, really?
yeah. So I'm hoping moving forward, that's something that
We'll see more
Bungie.
tusks.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
Bungie embraces, and they're just like, this is going to be a standard thing going forward.
Uh huh. Hey, you want to
So,
hear something funny? You want to
yeah.
hear something funny real quick? Okay, so when the video first started playing, I was laughing hysterically because they showed Keitel from the side profile, and I thought her helmet mask thing on the front, I thought that was her bottom lip hanging out real far.
Ugh. I'll have to look at that again off the show to see.
Which reminded me so much of an elephant, because like when they have that big
Mhm.
bottom lip just hanging out. Anyway, her mask on her face has this big, long, thin protrusion sticking out.
What do people call the Cabal? Because I always call them space rhinos, but there's another thing that they
Turtles.
get called turtles. That's what it
Yeah,
was. Thank you.
and in game we've got the Cabal armor for the Titan that has the little turtles that have been struck through the kill marks.
So this is
Remember
another
that?
one of those things where Bungie can't make up their mind what they want to
Uh
call
huh.
it. Because there's
Well,
like
that
there's the camp that want to call them turtles because they're in the armor, the heavy armor plating, and then there's the camp that want to call them rhinos because if you actually look, like even before they had tusks in game, if you look at their bodies out of suit, it is like
a
and a
rhino.
rhino
Yeah,
leg and a rhino
yeah,
leg and some natural rhino skin plating on their shoulders.
yeah.
It is very clearly rhino inspired. Oh, hey, you're a rhino.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a kick out of that the first time I heard it in game when we got Destiny 2, because that was the first
Yeah.
time like Cade says it, right?
Yeah.
Because he says
Yeah.
it during that mission. He's like, "Dude, space rhinos, or whatever." And I was like, "Wait, what? Why did you say my name?" You know? No, but it goes way back to the trailer
Mm.
when they were called space turtles, and then like we didn't hear them called rhinos until what was it in the lore during the owl sector? Wasn't that something? Like I think it
I
was
just
around
remember it
that
from back
time.
in D1 being called rhinos. And
Yeah.
I just remember like rhinos and turtles for the Cabal was kind of interchangeable. And now we're finally getting to see more of their rhino aspect with their tusks coming through, even if it's only the female Cabal that have them.
Well, see, what's funny to me is I always called them piranha faced because they
I
had that
guess I can
big,
see that.
yeah, because they had that big gaping maw, with the sharp teeth. And then when they showed the Cabal dogs at first, before we ever
Hmm.
knew what they were called, they looked like sharks.
They
And
do.
then they showed the Leviathan, which looked like a massive fish in space.
Well, the Leviathan's based on the land whale, which is
Uh
apparently a
huh.
thing on Torbital.
Yeah, so it was kind of like, well, where are they getting all these fishy looks from, But then, like, there's space turtles, there's space rhinos, and then they have these fish attributes.
The Cabal are actually very complex. Like people are always like, "Oh, the Cabal are so boring," blah blah blah. And it's like they're actually
Yeah,
really complex. Like,
very complex. And as we've learned throughout the lore, just like they explained in Grimoire, they've become like for as much as we know about them, they've become the most mysterious
mm,
out of all
yeah,
because
I
we
feel like
have
there's
a
something they're
book.
hiding.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're called morphs from the very get go.
Hmm.
And
Which is
that
a
implies so many things.
which is something that is shared with the Hive. They had the King morph, the Mother morph, the Night morph,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and I guess at some point, well, I mean, an ogre isn't experimented on Thrall, so is that just still like is that a morph? Because it bypasses the acolyte stage. Because like the Thrall to the acolyte isn't a morph; it's just a natural evolution.
Huh. Yeah, because they have to. Yeah, because they're a part of their worm pack. They have
Yeah.
to attain the next rank up. They've got to kill enough of their own or lessers to have amassed enough for their
Well, I mean,
worm to.
the progression was natural even before the worms because there was the Mother morph and the Night morph and the King morph, which was an exclusive. But they would be born a thrall and then they would grow to an acolyte and then they would take the morph they choose to take.
That's
However a morph is taken is kind of up in the air and gross sounding.
yeah. And so then, and then I think back to the Cabal as they were the fourth horsemen of the apocalypse of the four enemy races, the founding four enemy races. So
Hmm.
got you've got the different races which kind of personify the end of the world that we're facing. And but what's funny about the Cabal is they're they are the personification of war,
Yeah, I
right?
was gonna say, how can they be the fourth horseman if they're war?
Exactly. But the fourth horseman with death, is just straight up
Famine,
death.
death, pestilence, and war, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
actually crazy. I know everyone does this for everything. It's like there are SpongeBob four horsemen, like, but this actually really works. Where famine is fallen, death is hive, war is cabal, and it didn't necessarily. It always had the hint in D1 that Vex could be pestilence, but it was never really. realized until the Clovis Bray Journal, where we see the Vex infection in the bone marrow. Like, that
Right.
is pestilence.
Exactly. Yeah. Because for years, my thought process was, okay, well, then that just means, because I always thought originally, way back in D1, that just like you set up at first, but I always had the hive and the Vex in the wrong spot for
Mm-hmm.
years. But then when we learned that the Vex actually infect, that was the kicker.
Mm-hmm.
That was the trick, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like we're missing some. It's almost like we're missing the storyline that gives us. Okay, so we had the Siva, which was infected, basically fallen,
Mm-hmm.
which was okay. So there's the zombie, aspect. Like every game has that zombie horde mode, right?
Well, I mean, if anyone's a zombie, it's the Scorn.
Yeah. So the zombie scorn, but all of those things that we've seen so far, those are almost choices. But
Mm-hmm.
then when the taking came along, I thought, okay, this is gonna be it. And that still wasn't it.
Mm-hmm.
So I have yet to have seen like the true what I would say was the parallel to Halo, where the in Halo it's the flood,
Mm-hmm.
and the flood is one grave mind controls all of the flood, and all of the flood is straight up infecting anything that they come in contact with. And once they infect it, that infectee or infected person thing, whatever, becomes a new um, version of the flood. So like there are elites in the game, brutes in the game, humans in the game, marines in the game, Spartans, and they can all become a flood form, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine if the Vex learned how? Because there's that big swamp monster, right? The swamp monster from the original art.
The big frog?
No,
Oh,
the,
oh, I
the
know what you
swamp
mean.
monster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the big swamp monster. Yeah. Okay.
And so if that was Vex, imagine if that was part of the Vex construct. Imagine if the Vex learned how to take over biology and infect people in a way that could they would be just puppets in a way.
Yeah. So, the swamp monster is on the screen. You mean this thing in the background? Uh,
And here's
so
the here's the here's the thing, real quick, before we go further. It was just revealed, 3-4 days ago,
I was just gonna
from
say, yeah.
Chris Barrett on Twitter, when he was going through a lot of his original art pieces that he had made for the game before the game ever came out, that swamp monster was associated with the Vex originally. Whether that took on anything or ever, just died or never came about story wise,
Yeah.
that drawing was originally with the Vex.
Well, I mean, there's Vex in this picture. Is
Oh,
this
you're,
not the
you're
one you're
pulling up
talking
that
about?
one. Yeah, probably.
Okay. So what I want to point out in this picture as well is if you look at the Vex, they are carrying what looks like hive boomers, not their
Are
traditional
they?
weapons. And Swamp Monster here kind of looks like an ogre. I don't mean to like I don't mean to like crush your dreams about it,
No, no, no,
but
no. It's fine. It's fine because I mean, obviously, it's all,
super
it's
old
all.
early concept, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I would say the most likely scenario in this, because if you actually look at the scene, it's the Vex invading a town. That's not something the Vex have ever done, but that is something the Hive have done in Rusted Lands. Back in D1, all the PvP maps had a Grimoire card associated with it, and Rusted Lands talked about a Hive. Uh, the Cedar crashed on, I think it's A. The Cedar crashed on A. The Cedars would be launched from the moon, they would crash on Earth, and that would hold a hive invasion.
That would be
Excuse me,
insane.
a hive invasion force. And so this
Yeah,
kind of looks like what eventually became the concept of Rusted Lands, where instead of Vex, it was Hive, Knights with boomers, Acolytes with boomers, Big Ogre in the background. That's just where I
sure.
go when I look at this.
So that big, anyway. So that, yeah, I agree. So that big monster in the background has always been kind of like, what is it, right? So we've
Mm-hmm.
never seen it in game. It's the new triangle ship for me. I'm just waiting for it, right, to show up.
Yeah.
Whether it be just some, hokey enemy that we end up fighting, but I mean, even in the Black Armory papers, right? We're talking about the enemy banging on the door that sounds like stretching metal, but smells like wet earth.
Yeah.
That's yeah. So who knows, man?
So we started this conversation trying to speculate about next season. So let's
Mhm.
speculate about next season.
Okay,
Uh,
so
in the
war
trailer,
table.
we see Keitel coming to Osiris and Zavala and telling them that the darkness is here. You're gonna die if you try to fight it on your own, but together we can fight it and we can win. And then she says to bow, and so I've been seeing people say like two sides where it's like Zavala's too strong to bow, he's not going to bow to you, blah blah blah. And then the other side is like, what the hell, Zavala? Why are you screwing us? Like your pride is that strong that you won't even bow? Like who
Yeah,
cares? And from what we know about the Cabal, bowing isn't just an act. It's not just like, okay, we can bow and let's be in alliance now. Bowing is submitting all of humanity as slaves to the Cabal Empire, just like the Signs,
correct.
just like the Arkborn, the Sindhu, the
Yeah,
Kaga, the Clips. It's Clips, right? Their moon
Cogger
is
clips.
called
Yeah,
Kaga, and so they are the Clips, but their moon is Kaga, and the moon base is Kaga Clips,
yeah,
or something like that.
yeah. And each time one of those champions from all of those different races at the very last stand, they had to bow or submit
Yeah,
to
and that
Callus
was
to
that was
become
to
the shadow.
Callus
Yeah,
when he was in the Leviathan.
yeah.
So actually, those races, I'm not even sure if they're alive anymore.
I
So
don't
maybe
think they are. No.
because it actually, if you think about it, it sounds like Callus killed them. It was like, okay, you're my shadow. Select few
Yeah.
can come on the Leviathan. The rest of you, you're getting eaten.
Can you imagine?
No, I don't want to. So obviously next season we're gonna be fighting some Keitel enforcements. We're getting, what is it called? The hammer of something, hammer of honor.
Oh yeah.
That's that feels like it's gonna be like the chalice of opulence, the synthesizer, the hunt lure. It's just one of those things. You slot in the whatever you slot in, and you do the activity, and you get the rewards based on what you slotted in. Right?
Yeah, what really sucks is like so that whole mechanic has introduced this whole other dynamic to the game. Like we have the Fang, currently right now, and
Yeah,
that's part of our
that's
upgrade
the
mechanic as
artifact,
we go. But then there's
right?
the lure. Yeah, that's the artifact, and then there's the lure, which is a whole other item that was crafted to pull out the what are they called?
Wrathborn,
Wrathborn. Yeah, so the Wrathborn are like the Savathun enhanced baddies.
Zivu enhanced,
I'm sorry, Zivu enhanced baddies. So, what enhanced baddies are we going to see now?
Keitel.
You think?
I think it's just Keitel's Legion. Like from everything, the way it sounded, we are proving ourselves to Keitel to say like,
Okay,
you can't control us. Just because we don't bow doesn't mean you can force us. We're kind of just like stalemating with Keitel.
that's true. Well, okay, so what we saw in the trailer, we saw the huge war table.
The
So that's
helm.
in, yeah, the helm. So helm, HE, it's an acronym.
Yeah. What do you think helm stands for?
I have no idea.
Do you think we're gonna
Happy
find out?
elephants losing their mind. Yeah, of course we are.
I mean, we've had, what else have we had? We've had acronyms in Destiny where they're just like, we're not telling you what it is. Like MITA.
Oh yeah. Well, what about Owl Sector? Wasn't that an acronym?
No, Owl Sector is just Owl Sector,
Oh,
to my knowledge. Maybe it is an
Well,
acronym.
we've had acronyms. Yeah, I guess we've had acronyms, and then we had to like search the lore really hard to scrub out what they meant. Like
Yeah.
for for years, the what was the little device they used to text each other across the solar system? The the
I have no
terminals,
idea.
the
VanNet?
terminals that yeah, VanNet. Wasn't there an acronym for one of those devices, one of those screens? And we were all like, "What is this?"
I can't remember, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. It's too much lore.
Yeah. We're at that point where there absolutely is too much. It's like I used to be able to like list what grimoire entry it was from and everything back in like
Yeah.
vanilla D1, and I was like, yeah, this is from here. This is exactly what it said. Now I'm like, I think it's a thing. I might just be imagining.
Long after the game has ended, people will still be learning stuff about the lore
Yeah.
at this point, at the rate we're going.
Yeah, it's just never ending.
Oh, there's a lot now. Back in the day, we could kind of theory craft and make up a lot of this stuff
Yeah.
based on what we learned. But now it's kind of like you have to legitimately wait for them to tell you some of these things.
So this season's big bad ended up being the High Celebrant. Next season, do you think we're actually going to fight Keitel? Or do you think we're going to fight someone who is her, like, second in command, maybe Amunarath, and we're going to prove ourselves to her? What do you think? How do
You
you think it's going to
know,
go?
okay, so like it could go either way, right? It could
Mm,
end up being this just ever present type of person that ends up being a fixture in the background. Like
mm.
Keitel, just we prove ourselves, we kill a bunch of her warriors or her centurions, whatever, and then she's like, okay, well, I'm here if you
Hmm.
need some stuff, right? And then she's there, she's parked, kind of like Spider's parked, right? But maybe not an ally, but maybe kind of like an enemy of our enemy.
So you're telling me we could have had Gus the Slovenly.
Yeah, absolutely.
What the
And so that
hell?
so that's one way of looking at it. Or here's another crazy spinfoily way. What if she ends up falling for a Savathun trick?
I mean, that seems like the most likely outcome when
Yeah.
you really get into it. For anyone wondering who Gus the Slovenly is, they're a pre D1 thing. It's on screen now.
Oh my god.
Pre D1 Cabal vendor concept.
Yeah. We never figured out. Okay, so in the pre D1 concept mechanic and stuff, they show the Guardian with the crazy looking ghost. That was a weird looking ghost. And
Mm.
he's got all his stats and armor pieces and all the little slots and things. But there was one in particular, and it was called Chocolate Mountain.
What? Oh wait,
Exactly.
no,
Yeah,
no,
go.
no, no. I remember this. They talked about that. The devs have talked about that, like what that was. Oh man, I can't remember though.
Yeah, I don't remember either. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah. Either way, let's try to get back on topic.
Maybe that's what we'll end up seeing is Chocolate Mountain.
We're gonna go to Chocolate Mountain.
Yeah. We don't have the Valentine's Day special anymore.
I'm a little bit
The,
bummed about that, to be honest.
yeah, me too.
Oh, I'm sorry for yawning so much.
No worries. Yeah, Crimson Days, no Crimson Days. So, do you think that happened because of the delay in the game?
No,
It
I just
just didn't
think
work.
like people looked at it and no one really had anything bad to say about it because they felt it was like an opt-in experience, whereas like the Haunted Forest, the Dawning, it was so in your face. It was like you can't opt
Yeah,
out of doing it, whereas Crimson Days, it was a PvP game, so most of the community was just kind of like about it. Like, I don't have the patience to hate on it. It doesn't do anything to me. It's not
yeah.
giving me anything that I want, so who cares? And Bungie looked at everyone going, who cares? And everyone was like, all right, well then who cares?
That
And I'm
sucks.
I didn't play it much. I really didn't. I'd play like maybe 4 games of it, and I'm like, oh, this is fun. And then I put it down, and that would be the end of it. And like I said, I had no real negative things to say about it, but I did kind of just feel like, who cares? If I miss the event, I miss the event. What am I missing?
Yeah.
and I am a little bummed, like a little bummed that it's
I'm
gone.
I'm 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 genuinely bummed out, and it's because my wife and I play when we
Exactly.
play. Yeah, my wife and I play Destiny every single. Well, we play like every other day. If we're not playing Destiny, we're playing Halo. But when
Hmm.
we play Crucible together for the most part, and that was a fun activity because it's just me and her,
Hmm.
and we can go in and and it's crazy. So we pulled out some really crazy moves in that game, and it's really fun to be able to destroy the other team when you're just clicking. You're just clicking. But
Hmm.
I could see why it could be also kind of frustrating for people because when you're not clicking, man, that Crimson Days can be really frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So
it's a personal preference. Some people are gonna dig it, and some people aren't. And
and like you said, it was an opt-in experience, but so was SRL.
SRL was amazing though. Like
Yeah, it was.
I absolutely hope they don't bring SRL back unless they. The only way that I can accept them bringing SRL back is if all they did was somehow port the games,
Games,
the
yeah.
maps into Destiny 2. Like,
Yeah.
do not waste any resources making maps for SRL, please. But if you
Just
could
bring
just
what
be
we
like
had.
copy paste, if that's actually possible somehow to work,
I don't
go
know, man,
ahead.
because so like, where is, if they did that, that would be crazy because there was a Venus map.
A
There
Mercury map,
was, yeah, a Mercury map. Oh
two
my
Earth maps, I
goodness.
think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there were four maps, weren't there? There's only four. They did two, and then they did another two.
Yep. Yeah. The Venus map was a fun one. I really like that one because there you could go the upper top part or you could go the lower top part, but you weren't necessarily faster. You just could avoid some of the craziness.
Oh, it was Mars.
Was it Mars? Was
Yeah,
the other map?
Campus Meritus on
Oh,
Mars.
that's right, with that crazy sidewinder part.
Hmm.
Is that the one that
The
had the forklift?
No, that was I'll get to that one. Infinite Descent was on Venus. Hakon or I, actually no, I Hawkoon. Let's see.
Hawkins. Yeah, Hawkins. Yeah, it was the mountain one. It was the snow.
Hawkins Precipice was the Earth one that had the forklift, and
Yeah, the
Shining
Iron
Sands
Banner one.
was and Shining Sands was the one on Mercury.
Mercury. Yeah.
But yeah, if they could just copy paste them, I'd be so happy. And did you see everyone saying that when they previewed the Guardian Games armor again?
Yeah.
By the
It
way,
looks like
because
racewear.
when Guardian Games came out, everyone's like, "Is that
Yeah, we
SRL
did that
armor?"
the first time. Yeah.
So it's funny that Bungie's like, "What if we kept the aesthetic the same but just kind of changed it?" And everyone goes, "Is that SRL armor?" Like we
That's
already
so
did this.
mean.
It's not SRL armor. Calm down.
Oh my god, it's so mean. Now, if you saw some like straight up Jade Rabbit eaters on a helmet,
Well,
then
because this
yeah.
time I think the main thing about it this time is that the hood on the hunter is holographic, just like the
Oh.
cloak on the SRL hunter were just two
Uh,
holographic streaks.
SRL confirmed.
Yeah, I mean, if it does happen, we can say you heard it here first.
Yeah. Yeah, we got it right first.
Yeah. And anyone who said it before us, they were just guessing, but we knew.
But that was a really good. Okay, so back to the casual Die Hard thing. SRL was a fantastic way for players to catch up. It was a
Hmm.
fantastic catch up mechanic for people to do something that. And I'm not saying SRL didn't require skill because it definitely did to win. I
Yeah.
mean, there was some really close races, but at the end of every game, you got something, and it wasn't a game that you were just being punished relentlessly for playing at a low level.
Hmm.
And so I took my characters, my alts that I never played with, and I ran them through there real quick to get them up to light level, and it worked.
Yeah.
You drop a set of armor, and then boom, you're there. It even dropped weapons at the end of the games. If they did that again, though, there's some hilarious sparrows now.
Mhm.
like the micro mini
Yeah.
or the little snowmobile.
So about that, different sparrows have they have like hidden stats. You might have noticed it, but you might have not known that. They have these like hidden stats that affect like how they turn and how they fall and things. So the micro mini and the snowmobile sparrows, even though those are two tiny little sparrows, they have different stats, and I think it's the snowmobile falls harder than the micro mini. And so
Really?
like yeah, and so or at least that's what some of my clan was telling me, and they were saying like that's why they can't use the snowmobile sparrow because it falls harder, so it's like more difficult to actually use.
I had no
And
idea.
that would be awesome in SRL to have like
A
because like
little
in Infinite
meteor.
Descent there was like that actual like fall
Yep.
part, and it'd be funny if like you can have this like lofty sparrow just kind of cruising in the sky, and maybe there's a ledge that you can get on, or you can have a heavy sparrow and you just drop down and go again.
uh, that's so great. Yeah, I think we have a ton of different sparrows. That would be really. There would be some interesting. There's so many different sparrows now. There would be some interesting fights. Do we still
Mhm.
have the broom? There is a broom one, right? A broom sparrow
They
still.
brought the broom back. So the broom was in D1 as only existing during Festival of the Lost. And then
Yeah,
they brought the broom back 2 years ago. And then last year, they brought the broom back as an icy broom with a Dreaming City cat on it, all
that's
frozen
right.
over.
Yeah,
I have
that's
the
so
original.
cool.
I don't have the icy broom because once I have one version of it, I'm like, I'm good. I
Yeah,
don't need two versions of the same sparrow.
yeah. And then we had the Lysander sparrow from D1.
That
And
was from The Dawning, I think, which was
was
also
it?
SRL.
Yeah, yeah. So they did the. So that's what happened in the original SRL experience. Is it was launched with the Dawning?
Hmm. We
Yeah,
had
and
we
so
had
we
a
got it.
Dawning, and then we had a Dawning SRL,
Ah,
and then we had a third. Or no, we had a Dawning SRL, and then we had a Dawning SRL.
so did we only get the SRL twice, right?
Yeah, because we got the
Okay.
two maps, and then we had it the second time. And in the Rise of Iron SRL, they made it a private match thing that you could do, which still exists on Destiny One. There's actually another podcast, Destiny Spinfoil Cast. I'm not sure their actual name. But so they just did an SRL Spinfoil Theory podcast.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I was on there.
and
Good guys.
yeah, they just had an SRL, or they are about to have an SRL competition called Underground SRL, where they
That's
they
awesome.
uh they go back into Destiny 1 to play, and I guess they only have 8 people playing. That's a very small tournament. Or maybe these are the semifinals and or the semifinals. Either way, uh, I was great at SRL, and I saw them talking about it when it was like everything was closed, and I was like, okay, thanks for leaving me out. I guess you just didn't want to lose. Like,
That's another good thing about SRL is all this smack talking you can do.
hmm
Remember, you could hit each other. I wish they would have introduced the punch mechanic. That would have been even better.
that would have been fun, even if it didn't do anything, just to punch your friends.
What was the game? Road Rash. Remember Road Rash?
I never played that.
I think it was on PlayStation originally, wasn't it?
I
Anyway, you were like on a motorcycle and you would punch the other guy next to you
I've
as you
played
were
I've played
riding,
racing games when you're on like snowmobiles and bikes and stuff, and
uh-huh.
you can
And you could
assault
punch
people
each
next
other.
to you.
So great. You could punch or kick them.
Yeah. I've been in a couple like just friendly SRL competitions, and I remember one time because of the way SRL worked, it has this like rubber banding mechanic. So if you are super
Yeah.
far behind,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
easy
Yeah.
for you to catch up. And I think that's bad because what
Yeah.
that allowed me to do was to sit at spawn for like I gave everyone like a 2 minute head start, and I sat there, and because of rubber banding, I just went zoom, right back to them, and then I passed and won. And it's but I don't know if
Yeah,
SRL if SRL can come
that catch
back
up thing
without
kind of
any
made it.
resources being wasted, I would love that. If it can't, I understand. I'll play it on D1.
And my dog agrees, by the way.
I thought so. Okay. Uh, so we should really try to finish off Clovis's journal, and this is not even including the missing pages, which are on Ishtar. So we should get onto that since we don't
Okay.
have much.
Yeah.
We are at the end. We're at entry 9, and so just a kind of quick recap, they've discovered the Forge Star, they discovered Vex radiolarian fluid, it's non-Newtonian, and they also discovered that if you were to pass radiolarian fluid through clarity, you would get what they call alkahest, which is
Yeah.
how we can have exos work. They use alkahest in an exo, which I guess if you were to really break it down, the Vex radiolarian fluid is simulating the person that the exo is, and it's powering the exo with that. And so that's basically what it is. And I think the first couple lines here are just important. So I'm just gonna read through them.
Yeah. You do.
The infrastructure is in place. We are now in limited exobody production. I have allowed small VEX platforms to pass through the gate from 2082 Volantis, apparently intent on constructing infrastructure on this side. They are captured, drained, and discarded. Their mind fluid goes to clarity control, the alkahest flows back. The machine of immortality has begun its slow turn. In ancient days, they believed the source of the alkahest was the Philosopher's Stone. I have named my own source after that deepest, oldest stone, a place where the dead go to rise again, a deep stone crypt. Bray Station guarantees our security from above. The Europa Life Project provides deniability and cover. The infrastructure around Clarity Control will expose Vex radiolarian fluid to Clarity and deliver it to the Exobody manufacturing site. And then in subnotes, Elizabeth keeps trying to penetrate the networks around Clarity Control, but I have air gapped everything and the physical coffers are secured. Once the exobodies are prepared, I will upload the minds from my research library, a century of volunteers waiting for reincarnation. The first generation is already coming online, but I will not be of them, not yet, and neither will Elizabeth. A true upload requires maximum resolution subneural scan, and such a scan is invariably fatal. That means I will only get one shot. I will not take it. Sorry. I will not
Yeah.
take it
Yeah.
until the exos are stable. I refuse to be an alpha tester of my own immortality. I started to laugh there because I was just thinking of Hamilton. Uh,
Oh.
I am opening 2 new off the books labs to study the Vex and the effects of clarity. If humanity is going to fully transmigrate to these immortal bodies, then the eternal welfare of all future generations depends on spotting and avoiding any dangers now. I can justify taking extreme measures. One of the most tantalizing projects involves A. Miller, a young man from a nanoparticle induced degenerative immune disorder. I have been testing radical new imaging techniques on Mr. Miller, hoping to find a non destructive scan that still meets the requirements for a full faith upload. Unfortunately, Mr. Miller's dosage of various fixing compounds and imaging radiation is approaching the limits of clinical toxicity. Despite blood and CSF washes, I fear his tumors will escape our control. I am curious about the therapeutic potential of the Vex fluid. I plan to obtain his informed consent for a human trial. And we're almost at the end, so I'll just finish it.
Yeah.
M. Sundaresh comes and goes at odd hours. Her behavior is erratic. Yesterday, she discussed the possibility that we would be eternal collaborators in exobodies, and I believe she even flirted with me. An hour later, she was as cold as the ice outside and put up her hand to silence me whenever I spoke. An hour after that, she glowed with joy and she went on and on about her dear wife. Then she wept. I am not sure whether to blame my confusion on my own conception of women or on M. Sundaresh's racing mind. I cannot tolerate such volatility, and I would dismiss her instantly, except her supervision seems to be the key to the successful entrapment of the Vex we need. She has a knack. And then subnote, I should give her a name and the figurehead clarity control presents to the word. To the word. That's got to be a typo, right? To the world.
To the world. Yeah.
Uh, I have ordered a new herd of organ growing pigs. I plan to
Mm-hmm.
be here a while. Elizabeth still will not commit to a scan. I fear she will die in some accident and I will lose her forever. And then another subnote, Clovis says, "Ha, shall I call her Claire?" Talking about the Clarity Control, which is the statue, the veiled statue that we've seen in the Deepstone
Mm-hmm.
Crypt raid, and the Garden of Salvation raid, and on the Lunar Pyramid.
Yep.
So that kind of had a lot in it, but very important things. Uh, at the start, he mentions the Vex are coming through, intent on constructing an infrastructure on this side, which is exactly what they did when Crota cut the hole in Oryx's throne.
Yes.
So
Perfect.
it just felt like a really nice parallel between those
Yeah.
two.
So it's happening. It's happening again, but this time with like in our story, we're learning
Hmm.
that this happened in a parallel story. So it's almost as if the Vex. That's how they flood your instance of reality. Is they come through that opportune door that you create. And so for Clovis, this was kind of it, maybe. What's really weird. This has been an enigma uh, through the game originally, and it goes back to D1. But this idea of alchemy and how the Philosopher's Stone is tied into the lore and what the heck they mean when they're talking about that. Because we have a lot of items in the game that go way back that talk about alchemy and how that was so important into the development of Guardians, as far as the little hints they've been dropping. And so alchemy is the idea that you can create something from something else by introducing either a chemical reaction or some other type of just a reaction, and then you can uncover matter in another form. So back up a little bit to what the Philosopher's Stone was, this idea that if you can figure out the perfect alchemy, you can unlock the true Philosopher's Stone, which was basically life. Being able
Hmm.
to create something from nothing, right? Is this idea. And so we've got things like alchemist raiment. We've got
Hmm.
things that hang around. The symbol on alchemist raiment is also on Thanatonat's lullaby, which was an artifact we got in D1. And
Hmm.
so there are other things that talk about alchemy and how there were experiments done with some of the original warlocks. And there are these ideas that somehow guardians were tied to this idea of alchemy and philosopher's stone, this whole lore explanation that we're getting. But what's really, really critical right now that we're learning is the alkahest,
Hmm.
which is this combining of vexness, or what of the vex is, and creating something new from their mind fluid.
Hmm.
And we're really seeing the tangible creation of life in a new form,
Hmm.
which Clovis has figured out. And his little tie-ins to these alchemy, alkahest, philosopher for stones, all these little hints are kind of telling us where all that mysterious lore originated from, maybe.
So actually, part of me wants to, like, whenever something like this comes up, is to say they just mean it like figuratively, but
Mm-hmm.
also it's really hard to ignore that when Clovis found clarity, so going all the way back to the note clarity, which is like way at the beginning. He
Mm-hmm.
says, but clarity is not always symmetrical. For example, it violates time reversibility. Consider the simple
Yeah,
equation clarity A into B. And so, in alchemy, alchemy, you add acid to lead and you get the elixir of life. No,
yeah,
you just get melted lead. Like,
sure,
but clarity doesn't work like that. Clarity is clarity A to B. This is the application of a clarity of state A to produce a lower entropy state B. Clarity is found in removing portions of the state configuration, harrowing the phase space down to its most robust inhabitants. Time symmetry suggests that we should be able to run this process in reverse and retrieve the original reverse clarity B to A. But in fact, we obtain reverse clarity B to C, where C is the same as clarity B to C. So whether you try to reverse it or you apply clarity to, if you apply clarity to A, you'll get B. If you try to reverse it, you'll get C. But if you just decide to apply clarity some more to B, you'll also get C. So
Yeah, yeah,
it kind of feels like the dark is alchemy. Like
exactly.
is the secret of alchemy.
So, can you think back to when we were talking about how there's okay, so Ulantan aside, because that can just go off forever. But
Mm-hmm.
when we were talking about how the darkness is in and around everything, just as the light is,
Yeah.
right? And so
Okay.
there's this: if you separate one, you're going to separate the other. They cannot exist without one another, right? But
Okay.
in order to exist as guardians, they both have to be there. And so here's that conundrum, that moral conundrum, or that not moral conundrum, but that conundrum of, if we truly want to defeat the darkness, we will inevitably have to die or not exist anymore. Because if it turns out that it is, in actuality, it is a part of what we are, then to go on and live on or survive or ultimately exist forever, uh, once we defeat it, we're gone, right?
Okay. Yeah. So I see what you're saying. You're saying that because we are of the light and of the dark, we are a product of both of them existing. We can't
Correct.
defeat it without killing ourselves.
Yes. So it's the ultimate sacrifice.
I I mean, I disagree. I mostly disagree with the statement that you can't destroy the dark without also destroying the light. Because if you were to take it back from the winnower's own perspective in Unveiling, they talk about the flower game and the winnower and the gardener gets upset and it's like, fine, I'm making myself a player in the game. Like, I'm a piece in the game now. And
That was,
so,
yeah, that's right. That was the ultimate thing. So
yeah,
she, or he, well, that,
she,
so
gardener,
yeah,
she, winnower, unknown. Winnower,
yeah.
probably
So
she, considering veiled statues.
by making herself a player in the game, she did the ultimate move by saying, "Well, now you can't end the game."
Yeah, but also for an unchartable amount of time, whether it was a second or it was years or it was millennia, there was the existence of light within the flower game, within our universe,
Right.
before there was the existence of dark.
Hmm.
So one has already existed without the other. It's not
So then,
reliant on the other.
what we would say is, I wouldn't say all of life, because I would say that all of life is a part of the light. And so all of life in its form that was gone on from, Big Bang to now,
Hmm.
whatever, that is of the light. So, but as far as guardians are concerned,
Yes.
or any paracausal
Destroying the
entity, yeah,
destroying the light would destroy guardians.
yeah.
Okay, but destroying the dark wouldn't destroy guardians necessarily.
I think it will, and we'll learn. But maybe this is maybe this is what we were supposed to do all along, is kind of pick a side.
See,
So
I can
we're
appreciate
learning
that kind
about
of ending
darkness. Yeah.
cuz let me check something. Spoilers for a oh my god, it's only 10 years old. Well, spoilers for a 10-year-old game, Infamous 2. Depending on the ending you choose, because you can choose the good ending or the bad ending. If you were to
Uh-huh.
choose the good ending, you're making the ultimate sacrifice. In Infamous, there are people that have powers. They're called conduits, and you can choose to kill all the conduits, and it would just like it would stop the bad guy from like destroying the world. But you killed all the conduits, even people who didn't know they were conduits, like dead. Or you can be like, I'm going to be the bad guy. I'm going to destroy the world instead.
Oh
Like,
wow. Okay.
so the good ending is you kill yourself and others. Obviously, it didn't last because there's a sequel
Yeah.
to Infamous 2, but that was the intent of the ending. So I can appreciate that type of ending where like the guardians come to the end and the
Hmm.
darkness is like, if you kill me, you're killing your kind, you're severing the connection of
Yeah.
paracausality. The light
Yeah.
or the dark will not win, especially with the context of the prophecy dungeon armor, because the hunters have, if I remember correctly, the hunters have light, the titans have light and dark, and the warlocks have dark. And they show the reality of a world with just light, a world with just dark, and a world with both. And all
Oh,
of them
that's right.
suck. None of
Yeah.
them are good. So if the ultimate end game is that we shut out the light and the dark, it's like, let's go. Then I saw the options. The options are
Yeah.
terrible. Let's see option number 4.
That's really funny. That's really funny. But so, on a base level, in the mechanic of how do guardians exist, we're seeing a lot of that by Clovis's experiments, because with the Alcahest, this new um, uh, creation that he's, found. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to say made because it
Mm-hmm.
was there, but he just figured out the concoction to make it work for Exos. Um, so that little that little experiment unveiled that idea, or that thing, that true origin, which we had kind of known nothing really about
Mm-hmm.
forever until now. So when I think of things like Ulantan and how he says, without light, you can't exist, or without dark, you can't exist, blah, blah, blah. And we need to
Mm-hmm.
find a symmetry, and his whole faction was the symmetry, and how they all wanted to spread this belief that we need to combine both light and dark. What one thing that he probably missed was that um, all of this originated from, like you said, the winner and the gardener, one of them becoming a player in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you introduce that part of the equation as the player in the game, they know that to perpetuate themselves, they can't truly be defeated, because it's no longer two people, it's no longer two entities across from one another playing a game, because now one of them is in the game,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Well, now
So
both of them.
yeah, so now both, so the other one, in order to play against the other one, has to introduce themselves into the
Yeah.
game, right?
Sorry. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, yeah. So now the game is no longer just two entities removed from a board; they're actually inside. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we're seeing with the darkness and the traveler. They are the players, and now they're in our reality. And look what has happened.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for everything to go back to normal, them two players have to get out of our dang game
Mm-hmm.
and start playing again like they were before. But they're both here, and they're both fighting for you know domination,
Mm-hmm.
dominance, whatever. And so we're all byproducts of that, because now with them being here in our reality, they've created this whole entire paracausality. We've got all these powers, we've got all these extra abilities, stuff like that. But so that's what I was trying to say, is if they are removed from the game, all of that goes with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Because think about how the Hive were created, and they were proto Hive before, and before when they were proto Hive, they were warring and dying really fast, and then they got these new abilities from the Worm Pact and stuff like that. I mean, all of these things that could have just been byproducts of the original two entities entering the game.
So if we destroy the dark and the light, and that destroys us, that also destroys the hive, definitely. And it
Hmm.
might actually wound the Vex. I'm not sure where the Vex exactly stand on everything.
Well, I think the Vex is like in the purest form of the two entities in the
Mm,
playing the game, because like in that little mixology, or whatever you want to call it, of the Vex fluid that we're learning
yeah.
about and how it breaks down in the Alcahest, the two little the two little opposing forces that drive the Vex that are, it, because you say the Vex are the darkness, right? But truly they are a machinoform
Mm-hmm.
for that particular darkness to advance, right? And it's almost the same for the hive, and it's almost the same for uh the cabal.
Mm-hmm.
But what's funny about that is, if you really want to break it down and think about it, it's almost kind of a thing for us too, because guardians really are able to tap into all of the spectrums of the light, and the
Mm-hmm.
darkness is just one other facet of that.
Mm.
So I really think that there's a lot. I think there's a lot of entanglement involved, and I
Yeah.
don't think that we are as pure as we give ourselves credit for. You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. Uh,
so
that
I mean,
leads us
yeah. Go ahead.
that leads us to the last note in this, which is note DER, which stands for one of the acronym initialisms that we actually know. Is it degenerative
Yes.
exomind rejection? Degenerative
Yep.
exomind rejection. So infuriating. With 12 alkahest-seeded exos now online, I find myself beached on the shoals of another serious problem. Not a transitional trauma after all, not a temporary ailment, quite fatal. Mr. Zuck was the first to succumb. He continued to insist that he was living in a nightmare. He complained of hunger, of thirst, of breathlessness, of a rot in his bowels. I became concerned that he was billboarding, but his exoneuron activity remained healthy. Shortly after Mr. Zuck developed a full-blown coder delusion, I found him trying to chisel his face off with the table shim. He insisted that his face was covered in a thick layer of keratin. Toenail was his exact word, and the rest of his body was already dead and rotting. He became
Uh
violent. I
huh.
had to paralyze his motor functions for diagnosis. This only made things worse. Without the satisfaction of motor feedback, he disassociated entirely. He stopped forming new memories, which trapped him in an 8-second loop of panic. After I resumed his motor functions, I watched him fill every page of a notebook with the words, I have just died. I am trapped in a corpse. Now I am certain I am dead. Death has taken me completely. I have just finished dying. Activity in his temporal lobes collapsed. He lost his ego barrier and achieved metaphysical oneness with the universe. Unfortunately, this spread his coder delusion to his entire perceptual cosmos and rejected the resulting necro reality as intolerable. I have not
Yeah.
ever before seen such all consuming terror and dread. So that was kind of the
Yeah.
important bit of we heard about DER before, and it was like DER, it's bad, and it was like that's how it was basically described to us. DER is terrible.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. It's pretty bad. So Cotard's syndrome is this idea that you're living as a zombie. You're living as a corpse. You're just this. It's real. People think they're Walking Dead.
Yeah, that's
Um,
crazy.
yeah, and so it's this delusion that you have where you think that you are just a rotting vessel, or you're just walking around as a rotting corpse, and it can be pretty debilitating.
Yeah.
So the patient can deny their own existence. They can deny or just part of their body, or just say that, my arm is falling off and it's putrid or whatever. And so their
Hmm.
whole reality is completely distorted. They think that their symptoms are real. They believe that they're dying. It's almost like you're a hive, right?
Yeah. But effectively, he's at this point with the Exos where Elizabeth is super suspicious. He's hiding a whole bunch of things, and now he just he had some of them experience DER. So what does he do? He hides all the data and pretends it didn't happen. They're gone. They're dead. There's no reason to care about them anymore.
Mhm.
I can't let my daughter find out. My granddaughter find out what I was actually doing.
Yeah, yeah,
He is a really not good person.
yeah.
And
And
it's
so that's where we got in the book, where the two last pages were missing.
yeah. Well, I mean, it had to be more than 2 pages just for the sake of it not being extended like another quarter inch. Two
Oh yeah, it
pages.
was. Yeah, it was kind of thick, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
like what's actually left in the missing pages is extensive. You know, it's not short, but the book that we
Right.
have, it actually has two pages ripped out, but they can't put 20 pages ripped out because then it would just have this like weird stump at the end. So it's just for the
I,
the appeal of pages being ripped out, and that's
I
where we are.
legitimately thought somebody ripped off the back of my
I
book,
had
and I was
people
like, wait a
asking me
minute.
that. They were like, "Is
Yeah,
this how you got yours?" I'm like, "Yes, it's normal. It's fine. Relax.
yeah. It
It's
looks so
aesthetic.
real.
It does. And everyone's is exactly the same, so it's
Uh
not.
huh.
That's the crazy
Yeah,
thing. They
yeah,
I don't know. They machine tore paper. It's not like someone actually sat there just going
yeah,
to
yeah. No, the
thousands
paper
of
was
copies.
exactly like that. Yeah, exactly. Wow, what a cool idea.
So happy to be finally finished with that
We did
section
it.
now,
We did
because
it.
we're going into season of the chosen this week, and our next episode is just going to be going into the missing pages of Clovis and
Yeah.
Clovis journal, and then we'll finally start going through season of the hunt, and then we'll finally start going through season of the chosen, and then hopefully because of this extensive push with the collector's journal, will actually make it through the whole year without running out of lore books to talk about, and it just works really nice.
Yeah, I think it'll lay out like dominoes for the rest of the season, for the rest of the year.
Yeah, we'll be a little
It'll be
behind
good.
on the
It'll be real
topical
good.
things, but it'll work.
Yeah.
We'll stay
No, it'll
topical
work
when we
out
have to.
good.
All
uh,
right. So if you want to find more of us, we are on Twitter at Loose Canon Show. We only tweet updates for the show. We are every other week on Sunday morning at 9:15. So our next episode will be not on Valentine's Day, but on February 21st at 9:15 a.m. right here. We will be diving into the missing pages of the Clovis Journal. We will have another item description, and we might actually not be able to resist talking a little bit about Season Chosen. Just like
oh, we'll
first
have to.
impressions.
Yeah,
Like
we'll have
we'll
to.
have 2 weeks with it. We have to say something.
Yeah, it's gonna be
And
some good stuff. I can
yeah,
feel it.
yeah. So I need to go prepare for the snow that started falling during the show. I have my windows
I
open
don't
and
envy
it was
you.
like 20 minutes ago. I just like looked outside and I was like, uh,
You know,
snow.
I'm in Texas, so we get we get the most erratic weather here. Like if you don't like the weather, just wait a day. But right now it is currently cold.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the 30s, but it's just barely wet and drizzly, and um, it's the ground is still warm from the
Mm,
last 2 days.
that's crazy.
So we're we're not even seeing half of what you guys are seeing up there.
Yeah. Uh, oh, and
I
also,
don't envy you snow people.
I don't envy us either. Because I had to shovel out two cars too. I had to shovel out my car, and then I had to shovel out my girlfriend's car. And the way that my apartments work, I have to shovel out my car to get my car to move so they can plow my
Goodness
spot. But they
gracious.
plow my spot terribly, so I have to shovel out my car or my spot a second time, and then I have to do the same thing with my girlfriend's car.
Mm-mm.
So I
All
end up
cars.
shoveling like 3 or 4 times.
They should just up there. They should just create another vehicle like a snowmobile with doors and windows, and then
Just
you can
plow your own way to work. That'd be great.
yeah. There
All
you
right.
go.
But if you want to find more of us, I already said the Twitter at Loose Cannon Show, but we do upload this to everywhere podcasts are because we put it on Anchor and Anchor just takes care of it. So Spotify, Stitcher, any of those RSS feed apps. We are Loose Cannon Show, I think.
That's us.
That's us. That's it for this week. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye, everybody.
Bye.